The story begins with our cute young MC, Suma Tendo, smiling and blushing as he feels that he is the happiest person alive. A girl approaches him cheerfully and asks him about the food. Our lad holds beautifully prepared plates of food in both hands while two girls stand beside him. He proudly presents the meal, having poured all his skills into it, and the girls admire how delicious it looks. These girls are his oshi, the people he adores the most, and their attention is focused entirely on him, making the moment feel special and unreal. The scene then shifts to a few weeks earlier, when our chill bro lies on his bed scrolling through his phone in what feels like a rosy yet lonely life. He sighs while looking at pictures of girls on social media, thinking about how he lives alone, has no girlfriend, and has no plans on a quiet Sunday. He is Suma Tendo, a 20-year-old university student stuck in a slow and ordinary routine. As he prepares coffee for himself, his phone suddenly buzzes with urgent messages about a report that is in serious trouble and due next week. More notifications arrive, asking for help, and the thrifted MC awkwardly offers his own report as a reference. After that, he sits back and enjoys his coffee, thinking about how his life has no dramatic events and follows the same boring pattern every day. Even so, he realizes that there are people who make his life shine, and both of them are his oshi, two beautiful young girls who quietly become the brightest part of his world. He explains that one of his favorite VTubers is Anrietta, known as Etta-sama, who is part of the Virtual Era agency and has around 600,000 subscribers. At first, he only watched her streams because he liked her voice. Some of her videos feel a little strange or unsettling, but also interesting. Without thinking much, he kept watching, and before he knows it, he falls into a rabbit hole. He sees her take on strange and adventurous challenges, pushing herself to her limits, with shaking hands and visible struggle. This contrast draws him in deeply. He becomes fascinated by the gap between her innocent appearance and the daring things she does. Soon, he becomes her fan and subscribes to her channel. After that, he watches every video she uploads, including recent clips where she eats extremely spicy food, which quickly get many views. As her challenges get more extreme, he keeps watching but starts to feel worried about her. Recently, she uploaded a video planning to try an even spicier dish, speaking casually even though she's clearly bad with spicy food, and saying she might try the strongest level another day. Suma watches carefully and even feels tempted to try the same food, thinking she can't handle it well. During the video, she casually mentions burning her thumb while cooking because she didn't drain the water properly. Suma reacts with shock and concern, realizing that her reckless side is exactly what makes him worry and care so much about Etta-sama. The girl continues the video by eating while cooling her burned thumb, and she begins to eat the spiciest noodles, her eyes watering and her body struggling to stay calm. She coughs hard as the spice hits her throat, yet she keeps eating, slurping through the pain without stopping. Suma watches anxiously, thinking it looks extremely tough and hoping she does not push herself too far, as she is clearly in pain and out of breath. Even so, she acts boldly as if nothing happened and says she will try an even spicier challenge next. She also mentions she won't stream for a few days because she is moving and that she might do a special celebration stream later. When the video ends, our MC takes a deep breath, feeling tense but amused, realizing that this kind of nerve-wracking danger is exactly what makes her content exciting. He then thinks about his other oshi, Hiori Yatsuzumi, a 26-year-old voice actress from the Billion Agency who is now in her 4th year. He remembers first discovering her through an idol training mobile game and watching her sing live for the first time. Her beauty and graceful presence completely captivated him. Back then, she was still an up-and-coming voice actress, but now she is so popular that she stars as a main character in a Sunday morning anime, making him proud to be a longtime fan. Suddenly, he remembers that new limited merchandise is being released today, so he decides he must go out to get it. But just as he steps outside, he freezes in surprise when he notices someone moving into the next apartment. He sees a cute young girl standing with a delivery worker, talking about something. He wonders if this is the new neighbor living alone, while feeling that many unknown changes are quietly starting around him. 2 hours later, Suma returns after visiting 5 convenience stores but fails to buy the limited item, and he feels disappointed as he realizes just how much Hyorin's popularity has grown. As he enters his building, he notices the same girl again, struggling with large boxes, and he thinks that her luggage has not decreased at all. While carrying them, the girl mutters to herself. She looks dizzy and clearly pushes herself too hard. The cool MC senses danger and reacts too late as she suddenly loses her balance and falls. She crashes into him awkwardly and they both end up on the floor. Poor boy thinks I didn't sign up for this, but I'm still here. She immediately feels apologetic, while Suma freezes in shock, struck by how gorgeous she is, and his thoughts momentarily spiral. He panics and quickly tries to explain himself, introducing himself and making it clear that he lives there, desperate not to look suspicious. The girl's eyes shine with relief as she realizes they are neighbors and even the same age. Suma feels surprised to learn that she works remotely, finds it impressive, and listens as she humbly brushes it off. He then notices her injured hand and learns that she burned it by accident. Looking at the heavy boxes, he wonders how she can carry all that luggage with a burned hand. She laughs it off, but it's clear she feels overwhelmed. She wants to finish setting everything up today, even though she's exhausted. Suma asks about the moving company. She explains that they only leave the luggage at the entrance. This shocks him, as he realizes it's a very cheap and careless plan. He senses that the situation is a bit messy, while she keeps pushing herself, determined to finish quickly despite the difficulty. She turns to the boxes and tries to lift the biggest one, hopping and straining, but failing to reach it properly. Seeing this, Suma steps forward and offers help. He explains that he is free all day and can at least handle the heavy items. She watches him with admiration as he lifts the box, though she seems slightly hesitant about letting a man she barely knows into her room. After a brief pause, she bows and asks for his help, and Suma responds with a bright smile, confidently agreeing. Inside her apartment, they begin with the living room, placing boxes in the middle of the space and arranging furniture along the walls. The Superfly keeps helping by moving the TV, organizing things, and even cleaning. Slowly, the room becomes neater and more comfortable. She notices how carefully he works and teases him lightly for being so hygienic. His attention then goes to the large number of computers. She explains that they are her work tools and that she only reduced them after treating the move like a survival challenge. As she goes to tidy another room, she leaves him to handle smaller items. While sorting through a box, he is shocked to find an Ete-sama plushie, realizing that Hayashiro is also a fan. Before he can think about it, a loud noise comes from the other room. Mr. Jellybean rushes over to find her sitting on the floor in pain, clearly hurt after another accident. The box slips from her hands, scattering its contents across the room. She is completely shocked. Miss Drama Mama panics and urgently checks if he saw anything, while he frantically denies it in his mind, overwhelmed by the sudden flash of colors. If awkwardness were a sport, he'd be a gold medalist by now. After a tense moment, she calms down and pushes herself to continue, insisting that there is still a lot to do. Eventually, they finish everything and the room finally feels complete. Both of them feel relieved and satisfied. She laughs and sincerely thanks him, saying there's no way she could have managed all of this alone. Suma humbly feels glad that he was able to help. She then suggests exchanging contact information to thank him, and they do so naturally, confirming each other's names. They decide to use each other's first names, feeling more comfortable as neighbors of the same age. As they part, she smiles and playfully taps his phone, making Suma's heart race unexpectedly. Later that night, he returns to his room exhausted and collapses onto his bed, sighing. He admits he is tired, but can't stop thinking about how cute his neighbor is. Her face lingers in his mind, and to calm himself, he decides to watch Ete-sama's stream to forget everything else. On the screen, Ete-sama announces she will finally eat the super spicy paeyoung as promised, happily mentioning she found it at a nearby convenience store after moving. Suma watches, thinking about how intense even the regular spicy version is. His stomach growls, and he realizes just how hungry he is. He goes to the nearby store to buy groceries. He is shocked when he sees that the same noodles Ete-sama is eating today are almost sold out. He thinks about how well they are selling and wonders who would want to eat them outside of a YouTube project. He feels the world is big. Later, he returns home and starts watching her video. In the video, Ete-sama struggles with the spicy noodles. She reacts, saying that they are extremely hot, and asks for help. She continues, saying that she can't take it anymore and feels like she is going to die. The MC smiles nervously as he watches her struggle while eating his own food. He wonders if this is the third floor of hell. A few minutes later, Ete-sama says that she has finished eating the noodles, and Suma is impressed. He claps and praises her. Then, Ete-sama says things are bad right now and decides to wrap up for the day. She mentions uploading the photos to Tsubayaki. The MC checks her video ranking and sees it's trending. However, he notices a picture she posted and the computer she is using. It looks familiar, like the one set up in Shizu's room. He remembers her words about the computer being her work tool. He sighs, thinking that there is no way it's true. Suddenly, she posts another picture, and the MC is shocked. He sees a stuffed plushie, and his eyes widen as he gathers all the details together. He notices that she just finished moving, and the computer looks familiar, like the one used for a freelance job. The plushie was sold at a nearby convenience store. He shouts out loud, realizing that she's his neighbor. He tries to calm himself down, telling himself it's not a big deal, and that his oshi lives in the next room. But he can't calm down. Suma covers his face with his hands, feeling overwhelmed. He tells himself that it's just that his oshi lives next door. He can't handle it. After a moment, he decides to watch her stream again. As he clicks on his laptop, he suddenly remembers that his oshi lives next door. He thinks about how cute she is and how he can't calm down. The main issue for him is whether to tell her or not. He starts thinking deeply. If he tells her, he doesn't have to hide anything from Shizuka. But if he doesn't tell her, he can stay as a friendly neighbor and enjoy the secret gap between her streams. He wonders what he should do. He starts thinking hypothetically about what he would say if he were to tell her. Our lad types a message to her, asking if she could be at Sama. After typing it, he hesitates and wonders if it's creepy. He then wonders if Shizuka might be at Sama. He rests his head on the table, still unsure about sending it, thinking if it's okay. Suddenly, his phone dings, and he realizes he sent the message. Panic sets in as he wonders what to do next. He imagines her punching him in the face. A short while later, she arrives at his house, holding the message and looking panicked, asking what it means. The MC quickly apologizes. She starts crying, explaining how she was told to be careful and not to get recognized. She feels hopeless. He tries to comfort her, saying that it wouldn't normally be careless to show something like a desk photo, but he understands how it happened. He apologizes again, saying he didn't intend to trouble her, and admits that he just got so carried away because Etasama is his oshi. She is shocked and asks if she is really his oshi. He confesses, and she blushes deeply. He explains that he is surprised when he realizes Shizuka is Etasama. She says that he must be disappointed, but he quickly stops her, telling her that's not true and that he even likes her more now. She blushes more. He says that he wants to get along with Shizuka, regardless of his feelings for Etasama, and he's glad they didn't have to hide anything. The cute girl acknowledges that she revealed herself, and he reassures her that if she decides to move again, he won't be able to do anything about it. Suma tells her not to mind him. She blushes and hides her face. He asks if she was listening, and she panics, saying she was. She believes everything will be fine with Suma-kun, and she doesn't plan on moving. She wants to continue getting along with the reliable neighbor she was fortunate to meet. Suma thinks to himself that this is how Shizuka, his oshi, moves next door. She leaves, saying goodnight, and he smiles, feeling excited about the dreamlike life that is about to begin. He is convinced that things will change, but as she walks away, he wonders if he's truly ready for what's to come. MC watches her walk to her apartment, each step echoing in his mind. He thinks about how she, the idle and beautiful girl, is right in front of him. As she enters her house and stands with the door closed, still blushing. Meanwhile, he feels a mix of excitement and nervousness. He doesn't realize yet what's to come and how things will change between them in the future. The next day, Shizuka wakes up feeling unusually happy. She thinks about how smoothly the move went overall. As she reflects on yesterday, she remembers how, for a brief moment, she worried things might turn out badly, but her thoughts soon return to how generously Suma-kun helped her. Filled with gratitude, she smiles, thinking about what a kind person her neighbor is. Her mind drifts back to their first meeting and the impressions she had of him. Remembering how thoughtful and helpful he was, her cheeks warmed with a faint blush. Everything had gone so easily, almost too easily. Suddenly, her phone buzzes, snapping her out of her thoughts. Startled, she picks it up and sees Zaria-chan calling. She answers and hears Zaria asking how the move went. Shizuka feels touched by the concern in her voice. She explains that while the move was difficult at first, it ultimately went smoothly. She also mentions getting lost on the way to her new place, but reassures her that everything worked out fine. Zaria then voices her concern about Shizuka letting someone she had just met into her home. Shizuka reassures her that it was okay and emphasizes how helpful Suma-kun was. Still worried, Zaria reminds her to be careful, especially since she's living alone as a woman, and warns her about the risks of exposing herself to danger. Shizuka listens attentively, promising to stay cautious. She thanks Zaria for caring and suggests they hang out once things settle down. After ending the call, Shizuka stands still for a moment, reflecting on the conversation. Although she feels a little exposed, she reassures herself that everything will be fine. After all, Suma-kun is a good person. Smiling to herself, she continues thinking about her new neighbor. She then decides to take a bath. However, as she looks for a change of clothes and a towel, she realizes she can't find them. She searches around, growing slightly frustrated as she wonders where she might have put them. The next day, Suma goes grocery shopping for himself. He gets excited when he finds a special item he missed the day before, feeling a small thrill as he thinks about how being an oshi makes everyday life more fun. Suddenly, he runs into Shizuka-san at the store, surprised by the coincidence. He remembers that she's Etta-sama, the VTuber he admires, and that she became his neighbor just yesterday. When he asks what she's buying, she tells him she's not getting more spicy noodles and is instead shopping for dinner. Noticing that she's trying to hide a basket, Suma cleverly asks why. Shizuka panics, clearly embarrassed, and Suma starts to wonder if she's eating properly. He mentions that his own kitchen doesn't even have a microwave yet, realizing as he says it that it might be time to buy one soon. She confidently shows him bundles of money, explaining that she's already withdrawn it. Suma is taken aback, thinking she might be planning to buy something extravagant. He starts to question her sense of money, realizing it seems completely off and possibly getting out of hand. Becoming thoughtful, he wonders if he should go with her to buy a microwave. Shizuka, true to her nickname Miss Disaster, is shocked by the suggestion and unsure if it's appropriate. Suma reflects that if he leaves her alone, she might end up buying something ridiculous, like an industrial oven. She becomes excited and suggests they go right away, insisting that good things shouldn't be delayed. Suma agrees, albeit with some hesitation. At the store, Shizuka is amazed by how spacious it is and points out where she thinks the microwave section might be. As they walk together, Suma briefly feels like the outing resembles a date, but he quickly shakes off the thought, reminding himself that his priority is helping her choose a good microwave. Suddenly, Shizuka excitedly calls him over after finding a massive industrial microwave and asks for his opinion. Nervous, Suma says it certainly meets his expectations before launching into a detailed explanation about advancements in home appliances. Is this really what happens when you try to be a good neighbor, he thinks, feeling the situation spiraling into a total disaster. He explains that modern microwaves can do far more than just heat food. They can bake, steam, and even suggest recipes using AI. He talks about how he researched appliances when he first started living alone and how much they've likely improved since then. Shizuka listens intently, impressed, and asks if he usually cooks. He admits that he cooks for himself more than most people, then asks about her in return. Smiling, Shizuka admits she can't really cook because she lived with her parents and never had to. Suma laughs and teases her, pointing out that plenty of people can cook even if they live with their parents, so that excuse doesn't quite count. He then advises her that, as a beginner, she should avoid buying something too high performance. Instead, he recommends a simpler microwave oven combo at a lower price, focusing on practicality. Shizuka's eyes brighten as she thanks him, genuinely appreciating how helpful he's been. When they leave the store with the microwave, she excitedly announces that she bought it. Suma asks if she's okay with a model that mainly heats food, and she replies that it's fine. Even though it has many advanced features, she isn't confident she'd be able to use them properly anyway. Suma nods in understanding. She apologizes for making him carry the microwave, but he laughs it off, telling her not to worry. He mentions that delivery will take about a week and asks if she wants to use it right away. Shizuka smiles at him with admiration and thanks him again, while Suma brushes it off, saying it's no big deal since the distance isn't far. Shizuka thanks him once more, admitting that he's been kind to her since the day before. She explains that her parents were against her moving to Tokyo and often warned her about how cold-hearted people in the city could be. Even though she didn't fully believe them, she confesses that she still feels anxious at times. She tells Suma that his kindness has helped her feel relieved and grateful. Smiling brightly, she looks at him, causing him to blush at her sudden sincerity. Suma feels his face heat up and quickly tries to brush it off, telling her she doesn't need to worry and that she can rely on him anytime she needs help. Feeling embarrassed, he hastily changes the subject by mentioning the microwave's weight and how setting it up might be difficult. Shizuka looks startled and asks what he means by setting it up. Suma realizes, with a quiet sigh, that she might not have thought that far ahead. Concerned, he offers to help her install it, but Shizuka quickly refuses, surprising him. He insists that it's fine, pointing out that if she doesn't set it up, the microwave will just sit there unused. She protests, saying it would be troublesome, but he reassures her again, reminding her that she can rely on him, as he said earlier. Still conflicted, Shizuka hesitates and tries to explain that some things aren't that simple. When they arrive at her apartment, she hurriedly asks him to wait outside for a few minutes. Suma agrees, though he's confused, and stands there wondering if there's something she doesn't want him to see. As she disappears inside, he continues to speculate. Suddenly, a loud, chaotic noise erupts from within the apartment. Suma rushes to the door, calling out to her, only to hear her screaming for help. His heart pounds as he bursts inside and finds Shizuka tangled in a mess of clothes. Standing there in shock, he looks around and remembers how clean the room was just moments ago. Now it's an absolute disaster, leaving him stunned and unsure of what just happened. Cupcake Bay lies atop the pile of clothes, looking like a bear sprawled out in the middle of a chaotic room. Suma stares at her in shock, completely taken aback by the sight, a mix of disbelief and concern washing over him. Shizuka, flustered by the condition of the room, shyly and awkwardly admits that it's gotten a little messy. Still trying to process what he's seeing, he reacts bluntly, saying that it's far beyond a little messy and more accurately described as a full-blown disaster. Shizuka readily agrees, and the two of them end up sitting on the floor together, surrounded by scattered clothes and boxes. She remarks, half amazed, that it's impressive she managed to create such a mess in just one day. Suma notices a nearby box and picks it up, realizing it's the empty packaging from the spicy noodles she ate during her stream. He tosses it into a trash bag, feeling both amused and slightly overwhelmed by the situation. While cleaning up, his thoughts drift to the fact that his attractive neighbor is the person behind his favorite VTuber, Etta-sama, and how different she feels in real life compared to her polished idol persona. He grows shy as he realizes that his image of Etta-sama as graceful and ladylike is starting to blur. Seeing her like this makes him wonder how he'll adjust to viewing her in such a casual, unguarded light. Lost in his thoughts, he hears her call his name, and it startles him. He feels as if his soul is about to leave his body. Panicked, he shouts that they need to clean up as quickly as possible, ignoring everything else for the moment. Shizuka agrees to his request, and they begin working together to tidy up the room. Suma takes charge, organizing the cleaning process, giving clear instructions. They start by sorting the trash and making sure things aren't left on the floor. Shizuka follows his instructions eagerly, agreeing to each step. Suma picks up a bag, and, as he does, Shizuka shouts something about Sparta, making the moment feel even more absurd. The mess slowly gets cleaned up, but he can't help but feel that his view of Shizuka is shifting in ways he wasn't expecting. He becomes a cleaning master, ordering Shizuka to move her hands, not her mouth. He sighs deeply, frustrated by the surrounding chaos. Suma then asks her with genuine curiosity if she was always like this at her parents' house. Shizuka sadly admits that her mom did everything for her, including cleaning her room. Suma, having suspected that, quietly agrees with her. As she folds a shirt, she squeezes it in frustration, feeling down. She asks if he's disappointed in her. Suma watches her in awe for a moment and admits, honestly, just a little bit. He adds that Etta-sama was marketed as pure and elegant, which adds to the weight of his expectations. Shizuka, feeling embarrassed, cutely admits that she thinks it's cuter to have a few flaws. Suma, completely falling for her cuteness, mutters cute before tightening his fist in determination. He decides that he'll make sure she can live on her own, and that he needs to clean up the room quickly to help her achieve that. Shizuka agrees, and he springs into action, working like a machine as he clears everything in the room. He notices one of her undergarments and, thinking it's part of his cleaning process, picks it up, calling it just fabric. Shizuka immediately notices and shouts at him, accusing him of being a perv. Suma, flustered, blames her for making the mess in the first place and insists it's her fault things got to this point. Shizuka, embarrassed, declares that she'll clean herself up from now on and orders him not to touch anything. He quickly agrees, telling her to stop causing a scene. As the day comes to an end, they finish cleaning up the mess. The room shines like new, and MC breathes a sigh of relief. Shizuka smiles and blushes, admitting that in the end, Suma ended up cleaning most of it. Suma encourages Shizuka, pointing out that learning how to deal with empty bottles is a big improvement. Shizuka, feeling happy, smiles at his praise. He adds that if she keeps doing this every day, the mess won't pile up. Shizuka's eyes widen in shock as she hears she has to do it daily. She exclaims that it's too high a hurdle for a beginner living alone, and asks if he can even manage it himself. He nods confidently, stating that he does it every day, though he wonders if she'll believe him. Shizuka, surprised, asks him to show her his room as proof. He quickly reminds her that she saw his room yesterday, but she argues that she was in a panic and didn't have time to properly check it. Suma, a bit flustered, agrees to show her just a little, wondering if that will be enough to convince her. They head to his apartment, and Shizuka is immediately mesmerized by how clean it is, clearly impressed by the sparkling kitchen. She remarks that Suma really keeps it clean. He proudly responds, saying it's normal for him, adding that her place is the weird one. She agrees, but inside, she thinks about how impressive his kitchen is, noticing that it's as spotless as yesterday. She can't help but feel a bit self-conscious with a girl in his room. Suddenly, her stomach growls, and she laughs awkwardly, admitting she's hungry. Suma laughs along, then casually mentions that it's the perfect time to eat. He offers to cook, suggesting that Shizuka eat with him, since when she goes home, she'll only have cup noodles. Shizuka, slightly embarrassed, reacts to his teasing but smiles, glad for the invitation. She asks Suma if he needs help, but he reassures her that it's fine. He says she's probably tired from all the cleaning, so she should sit and wait while he makes the meal quickly. He ties on his apron, and Shizuka's eyes widen with admiration as she watches him. She sits at the table next to the kitchen, focusing on him as he cooks. She glances at his every move and shyly says that he looks good in the apron. After a while, Suma finishes preparing a full meal and announces that it's done. She is shocked, impressed that he really made it. He explains that it wasn't that difficult and that special cooking utensils aren't needed for simple meals like this. She still finds it impressive, and she starts eating with excitement, enjoying the food as if she had never had a good meal before. She praises him for how delicious it is. Suma smiles, happy that she likes it. As she eats, he comments on how cleanly she eats the fish, especially considering how messy her room is. He's glad she enjoys the meal so much. Shizuka, still eating happily, tells him that cooking is a bit too difficult for her. MC teases her, saying he can't let her hold a knife after seeing her room. She laughs and talks about how homemade food is really nice. For a moment, she thinks about her home, feeling a little homesick. She recalls how, back in her hometown, her family always ate together, and how it felt normal. Now, living alone, she eats by herself and feels lonely. Understanding her feelings, he shares that he also felt lonely at first when he started living alone. He used to eat while watching Etesama's videos, trying to fill the silence. Shizuka smiles softly as she eats, feeling comforted by Suma's meal. It reminds her of the food her mom makes. Her eyes fill with tears, and she tries to hide them, squeezing the bowl tightly in her hands. Suma notices and asks her what's wrong. She quickly laughs it off, saying it's nothing, and compliments the simmered fish, calling it delicious and praising him for being good at cooking. Noticing her discomfort, Suma asks if she'd like to eat at his place instead. He explains that eating alone can feel lonely, something he understands from experience, and suggests they have dinner together. He adds that it would only be dinner since he has university, but if she's okay with that, he'd like to share meals with her. Shizuka feels touched and grateful. It's not as if she's asking for anything. She was just about to suggest the same thing herself. Suma agrees, but before he can say more, Shizuka stops him. She holds out her hands and makes the request properly. Caught off guard, he pauses, waiting. Shizuka then shyly asks if he can have dinner with her from now on. Suma's heart pounds as he blushes deeply, covering his face. Overwhelmed, he can only think about how incredibly cute she is. Shizuka smiles and says she's looking forward to eating together and working with him from now on. He smiles back, agreeing wholeheartedly, happiness filling his chest. Dinner goes smoothly, and the night passes peacefully. The next day, as Suma finishes his lecture and heads home from university, he thinks about what to make for dinner, scrolling through his phone as he walks. Suddenly, a beautiful young girl with long hair passes by him. She turns back, thinking quietly to herself, "Is it really Oni-chan?" Our lad sits down, enjoying his lunch while watching Etesama's stream. She finishes the stream and thanks everyone for watching. As he watches, Suma thinks about how it's been a few days since he started having meals with Shizuka and wonders what he should make for today. Suddenly, his friend Keisuke catches him watching her videos again. Keisuke teases him, pointing out that he's watching Etesama once more. Suma responds, saying she's his oshi, or favorite, and his buddy laughs in response. Suma then offers to teach him about Etesama's charm, but Keisuke cuts him off, saying it seems like it would take too long. He changes the topic, telling Suma about the latest hot topic, the ace of the engineering department. Suma is surprised and asks what Keisuke means by that. He explains that the ace of the engineering department is a first-year student, a hyper-beautiful girl who is expected to win the university's Miss Contest this year. He mentions that she is known for acting distant, even rejecting the leader of the tennis club the other day. Suma casually eats his food and comments that she must find it annoying to be called ace. Keisuke replies that there's nothing they can do about it because she's just that cute, even though they wouldn't ever be taken seriously by someone like her. Suma, feeling slightly uncomfortable, asks Keisuke not to drag him into it, but he continues, asking our lad if he's really unaware of Miss Mafuyu, the girl from the engineering faculty. Suma repeats the name, feeling that it sounds somewhat familiar. As he thinks about it, memories from his childhood start to surface. He can't quite place where he's heard the name before, but it feels like it's linked to something important. He continues to think deeply, trying to recall more about her. Keisuke says that if Suma doesn't know, then he doesn't have to force himself. His friend then asks if it's really okay for Suma to be so relaxed. He suddenly remembers he has a lecture to attend and quickly leaves, telling Keisuke that he'll see him later. They say goodbye as Suma heads back to class. When he arrives, he finds everyone chatting. Suma smiles as he spots his favorite seat at the back of the room and takes it. As he settles in, he overhears two girls talking. One of them asks the other if it's true that she was confessed to again, referring to her as the engineering department's ace. Suma, hearing this, thinks about the words he just heard a moment ago. The other girl responds, asking them to stop calling her that. Her friend mocks her, saying that the guys still haven't figured out that this girl already has someone in her heart. The girl replies, not really, as Suma listens closely. A beautiful girl stands near him, and he realizes this is the girl from the rumors. She sits next to him and starts talking to her friend. She says that she can't forget her first love and doesn't date anyone. Her friend responds, saying it's not such a grand thing, just that somehow that person is still in her heart. She explains that's why she just can't bring herself to date anyone right now. Her friend, surprised, teases her, saying how girly that sounds. She adds that if it were her, she would have forgotten someone she hadn't been in contact with for 10 years. Suma feels a bit childish, thinking about how he can hear their entire conversation. The pretty girl, the ace, talks about not really wanting to reunite with a certain person, but still wanting to cherish the feelings for a little longer. Suma thinks it feels like something out of a manga. Her friend, wiping her eyes, suggested searching for the person's name on social media. However, the ace replies that she doesn't use those platforms. Eager to help, her friend offers to search for her and asks for the person's name. The ace replies with a name that immediately catches Suma's attention. As he hears his own name, his book slips from his hands, completely caught off guard. He feels a wave of confusion and wonder as the girls notice him. The ace looks at him with large, innocent eyes, and it hits Suma that this is the girl from his past, the one he used to know when they were little. The scene shifts to his childhood, where a young girl calls out to him. He asks her if she's scared to climb, reassuring her that he won't fall. She hesitates, but slowly climbs with his encouragement, and he praises her for her efforts. She smiles brightly, thanking him for the help. Back in the present, Suma realizes that this girl is Mafuyu, someone he had known well as a child. He's surprised that it took him so long to remember her, and a rush of memories floods his mind. She had always followed him around, calling him Oni-chan. When he greets her, he notices a change in her. She responds with a coldness that catches him off guard, and he wonders what's happened in the years since they last saw each other. Just as Suma is processing this, her friend brings up how Mafuyu's first love is supposedly Suma, leaving him shocked and unsure of how to respond to this new revelation. Mafuyu's friend grabs her and pulls her to sit next to Suma, telling her to sit closer. She walks away, saying to take her time. Suma feels deeply embarrassed by the situation, and Mafuyu seems just as uncomfortable. He wonders what kind of situation this is. He attempts to speak, but Mafuyu interrupts him, stating that the lecture is about to start and asking him to be quiet. Suma notices that, just like before, she is still cold. He resigns himself to it and tries to focus on the lecture, but he can't concentrate. The minutes drag on as he thinks about how beautiful she is sitting next to him, and the longer the lecture continues, the more he finds it difficult to focus. After what feels like an eternity, the lecture finally ends, and Suma realizes he couldn't pay attention at all. Everyone around them stares, and the intensity of their gazes feels overwhelming. Mafuyu apologizes, saying she's still a little confused. Suma tries to act cool, telling her to take her time and asking which part she's confused about, though inside he's feeling nervous. He remembers their past, wondering on how different she is from the little Mafuyu-chan he knew. Mafuyu seems embarrassed and says that calling him Oni-chan is too embarrassing. She asks if it's okay for her to call him Suma-kun in front of others instead. He reassures her that it's fine and tells her to call him whatever she likes. He jokingly says he will call her Mafuyu-chan like before, but quickly checks if it's okay to use casual speech with her. Mafuyu agrees and decides to call him Suma-kun. She notes that he seems cooler now, but adds that his impression changes when he laughs. She teases him, saying that since he said it in front of others, does that mean he'll call her Oni-chan when they're alone? Suma wonders to himself if that's really what she meant, feeling a mix of confusion and excitement at the thought. Mafuyu calmly tells him that she knew it was Suma. She mentions that the other day she saw someone who looked like him at the university, but she never imagined it would be the real him. The sudden meeting catches her off guard. Suma agrees, feeling just as confused, and comments that it seems like no one is left in the classroom. He suggests they leave, but Mafuyu feels embarrassed, noticing how empty the room is. Suma thinks to himself that she seems to be acting a bit strange. Mafuyu then asks him if he was listening to their conversation earlier. Suma shrugs, acknowledging that he heard it but seems unsure of how to respond. Mafuyu, coldly, explains that what she said earlier was true, and now that they've met again, she wants to be honest. She admits that she never forgot about him, referring to him as Oni-chan. Suma is caught off guard by her words, feeling his mind go blank in nervousness. He stumbles over his response, feeling unsure of what to say. Mafuyu steps closer to him, asking if he doesn't have a girlfriend. She hopes they can get along. Her eyes shine brightly as she asks him, and Suma feels a mixture of surprise and warmth. Mafuyu looks at Suma with genuine eyes, asking if he doesn't have a girlfriend, and then says she was thinking that she'd like for them to get along. He freezes for a moment, standing in front of her, feeling completely caught off guard. He thinks to himself about how a cute girl is saying she wants to get along with him, and how, up until now, his life has been quiet and uneventful. His mind races as he recalls everything that's happened recently, with Shizuka and now Mafuyu. As he stands there, he hears her calling his name with teary eyes, asking if it's no good. The question hits him hard, and he's unsure of how to respond. His thoughts race. What should I say? He thinks to himself that if anyone can turn down Mafuyu-chan's invitation, they must be crazy. Suma panics internally, but replies casually, trying to remain calm. He tells her it's fine if she thinks of him as her Oni-chan, and they can take classes together and eat meals in the cafeteria. But inside, he feels like he's saying all the wrong things. He wonders if his response is correct, since he has no experience in dealing with situations like this. Mafuyu suddenly bursts out laughing, and he feels even more embarrassed. She teases him, saying he's panicking too much. Suma, still flustered, is relieved she's laughing, but he's also unsure about what just happened. Mafuyu apologizes, saying she didn't mean to laugh, but Suma, still processing, admits he's happy that she said she'd get along with him. He adds that while the nuance might be a bit different, they can definitely get closer from now on. Suma is completely shocked and unable to understand Mafuyu's words. She winks at him playfully and says it's a secret, adding that she's counting on him from now on. He stumbles through a reply, unsure how to react, but eventually says, "Let's get along," with a nervous smile. Later at home, Suma reflects on the situation. He remembers the rumors about the ace of the engineering department being rejected, and how that gossip will likely spread. He then calls out, announcing that dinner is ready. Shizuka eats the meal and is completely invested in how tasty it is. Suma, pleased to hear her compliment, reminds her to eat her vegetables, which makes her laugh in response. As they eat, he feels exhausted, thinking about how busy the day has been. He thinks back to Mafuyu's question about not having a girlfriend, and for a moment, Shizuka's face crosses his mind. He wonders about his relationship with her, how they're just neighbors who eat dinner together, but it feels like something more. He finds himself feeling conflicted, thinking it's like living together with someone special, yet unsure of how to handle the situation. During the dinner, their eyes meet, and Suma panics. The food gets stuck in his mouth as he tries to recover. Shizuka notices and asks if he's okay. He reassures her, but then quickly asks if it's fine for her to watch a DVD of his oshi to relax. Shizuka is confused, asking if she's missed a DVD release, but he quickly explains that it's from another oshi, not Etasama. He excitedly shows her the DVD of voice actress Yatsuzumi Hiori performing in a live show. Suma is ecstatic, praising Hiori's performance, but Shizuka grows cold as she realizes he has another oshi besides her. Suma, still caught up in the excitement, continues praising Hiori, calling her his comfort and energy. However, he notices Shizuka staring at him and asks what's wrong. She asks, with a hint of concern, if she wasn't his only oshi. Suma is taken aback, realizing the impact of his words and suddenly unsure how to respond. MC, still caught off guard, asks if he didn't mention it, but Shizuka quickly responds that he didn't. She laughs it off, clearly frustrated, and decides to change the topic. She brings up that the landlord mentioned someone new is moving in again, hoping to steer the conversation elsewhere. However, Suma continues, joking that since his online oshi moved in, he wonders if his real-life oshi will move in too. He laughs it off, clearly not realizing how awkward it may sound. Shizuka, sensing the conversation hasn't shifted, thinks to herself that changing the topic is tougher than she thought. The scene shifts to the next day as Suma calmly watches videos from his other oshi. He suddenly receives a message from Shizuka, saying a moving company has arrived across the hall. Suma stares at the message, wondering if Shizuka has nothing else to do. She messages again, joking that she hopes the person moving in is handsome. Suma mocks her and says that the person moving in is definitely a beautiful girl. He jokes that if she's pretty, their characters would overlap, playfully calling her a decent girl too. Shizuka, clearly having had enough of the teasing, tells him to shut up. The conversation continues with lighthearted teasing, both of them teasing each other, but Suma remains unaware of the deeper feelings underneath their playful banter. Suma bursts out laughing as he reads Shizuka's messages. He lies back on his bed, thinking about how moving keeps happening like this. Just as he's lost in thought, he gets another message from her. It asks if he won't help. Suma chuckles to himself, thinking how chaotic Shizuka's moves always are, especially when it's her turn. He replies, telling her that it's just plainly in the way, and normal moving companies will unpack and set up furniture for her. Shizuka's response comes quickly. She's shocked, asking if that's really true. Then, she says she'll pretend it's a coincidence. Suma, now frustrated, shouts at his phone, telling her to stop being stupid and that she's being suspicious. He mutters to himself that she didn't even read his message, and it seems like she actually went to check it out. He wonders to himself how she always acts so quickly, amazed by her decisiveness. A few minutes later, Suma gets another message. It's from Shizuka again, and this time she texts that it's bad. Suma, now genuinely concerned, quickly asks what she saw, but there's only silence in response. After a moment, she apologizes, saying it's nothing after all. Suma, still wondering what happened, thinks it might be too much of a bystander behavior to ask more, even though he's curious. He feels sleepy after the long day, deciding that maybe he'll take a quick nap. He was watching Doricure late into the night and could use some rest. In his dreams, Suma hears his name, one after the other. It's his oshis, Ete-sama, Shizuka, and Mafuyu, all asking him if the food is ready. He is confused, hearing them all around him. Ete-sama asks him about the food, and Suma responds, still in the dreamlike haze, almost ready. But then he hears Shizuka's voice and is startled. Mafuyu calls him Oni-chan, and suddenly there are two versions of Shizuka, along with Ete-sama and Mafuyu, all around him, asking for food. He is completely overwhelmed, unable to understand what is happening. Suddenly, another voice cuts through, and he hears Hiori, his other oshi, asking if he's struggling. He turns, and Hiori tells him she has a reward for him, for always working hard. Suma, confused and in a daze, tries to process everything, but he can't keep up with the whirlwind of voices and people around him. Just as he's about to respond, he's jolted awake by the sound of the doorbell. He rubs his eyes, disoriented. He wonders what that dream was about. It feels like he slept a lot. He gets up quickly, rushing to open the door. As he opens it, he is met with a beautiful young girl standing right in front of him. She greets him with a smile, and Suma freezes in shock. His mind races, recognizing her face and voice. There's no mistaking it. This is Yatsuzumi Hiori, his oshi, the voice actress. He can hardly believe his eyes, staring at her in disbelief. Suma can't help but scream internally, asking why his oshi is standing right in front of him. Poor MC stands frozen, still in shock as he processes what's happening. He exclaims, "What's going on?" His mind races as one of his oshis, the VTuber Ete-sama, moved next door to him. Now, another oshi, the voice actress Hiori, is standing right in front of him. It feels surreal, like a dream come true, but this time, things are different, and Suma can't quite wrap his head around it. The scene shifts as Hiori introduces herself, calmly stating that she's Hasekura Hiori and has moved into the opposite side. Suma's shock deepens. His mind reels. My oshi moved in again? Is that even possible? Hiori, with a smile, says she looks forward to working with him. Suma's mind is still spinning, and he mutters to himself that he's so nervous he's not even sure if his voice is coming out right. Hiori seems concerned by his hesitation, and Suma, still flustered, asks if she's the voice actress Yatsuzumi Hiori. Hiori asks if he knows her, and he can't contain his excitement, loudly declaring that he's a huge fan of hers. He goes on to explain that he's been to all her live shows, watches her streams every week, and has even bought her DVDs and checked out the collaboration products. In his excitement, Suma wonders if he's made her uncomfortable by saying so much. Hiori listens calmly, thanking him for his support, and Suma feels like he's floating. Her kindness overwhelms him, and he can barely contain his emotions, his eyes welling up as he realizes how lucky he feels to be talking to her. She's just too perfect, too much of an angel in his eyes. Meanwhile, from a distance, Shizuka watches everything unfold, her thoughts filled with a mixture of frustration and jealousy. She thinks to herself that she knew this would happen, and that's why she didn't want to tell Suma. She accidentally sent the message and the picture of herself trying to smooth things over. Suddenly, Hiori notices Shizuka from afar, and her eyes widen. She exclaims, recognizing her, and calls out about the girl from earlier. Shizuka, caught in the middle, realizes Hiori has noticed her, and the tension between them begins to rise. Both girls bow to each other and greet each other. Hiori introduces herself, saying her name is Hiori Hasakura and that she looks forward to working with Shizuka. She responds with her own introduction, saying she is Shizuka Hayashiro and looks forward to working with Hiori as well. The latter then mentions that she just moved in by herself and notes that Suma has been living there for a long time. MC, feeling panicked, asks if Hiori just called him, and she confirms that his name is Suma, right? He nervously tells her that he is Suma Tendo. Hiori smiles, calling him Suma-kun and saying it's nice to meet him. Our hottie notices her tone and asks why Hiori is using such casual language. Hiori explains that it's because Suma called her his oshi and she felt comfortable using it. Shizuka, teasing, points out that MC is acting unusually lovey-dovey, mentioning that she's his oshi too and asking if he just said oshi. Hiori, curious, asks Shizuka if she's doing something too. She replies that she's a vtuber under the name Anrietta from Virtual Era. Suma, still a bit confused, asks if it's okay to be spilling all that personal information. Suddenly, Hiori gasps, shocked, and exclaims that she's a huge fan of Etasama, watching her streams a lot. She even asks if the recent spicy stream celebrating Shizuka's move was part of it. Hiori shares that she always listens to Shizuka's chat streams before bed and has been supporting the 24-hour Ring Fit stream. Suma, surprised, admits he didn't know Hiori was a fan of Etasama. Shizuka, equally shocked, wonders aloud if the voice actress is really a fan of hers. She blushes, happy at the thought. Hiori, overjoyed by the coincidence, asks if Shizuka will be friends with her. Shizuka, still flustered, agrees with a smile, saying the pleasure is hers. The two girls share a moment of connection, and Suma watches, still processing everything around him. Suma is blushing as he thinks to himself, "Oh my oshis are getting along." Hiori smiles at him, and she looks forward to working with him from now on, calling him Suma-kun. Suma, still flustered, responds with a nervous yes, and thinks about how his real-life oshi has just moved in. A few days later, Suma stands in front of a photo book store, picking up a book and being shocked to find that it's Hiori's photo book. He feels a sense of guilt as he looks at it, thinking to himself that he wants it, but something is holding him back. Just then, someone calls out to him. It's Hiori, standing behind him, and Suma freezes, feeling like his soul is about to leave his body. Hiori notices the book, and with a smile, asks if he's going to buy it for her. Suma, panicked, wonders if she's disappointed, but Hiori brushes it off, explaining that the photo book is an important one, created with the involvement of many people. She's happy that the fans can pick it up, showing just how aware and thoughtful she is about her image. Later that night, Suma sits at the dinner table with Shizuka, explaining how impressed he is by Hiori's self-awareness and how much he respects her. However, Shizuka seems disinterested, and Suma, noticing this, asks her what's wrong. Shizuka responds casually, saying it's nothing, but then adds that as a VTuber, she has low professional awareness and sometimes easily exposes herself. She sighs, frustrated, and comments on how Suma is getting all lovey-dovey, even though his oshi is right in front of him. Shizuka acknowledges that Hiori is beautiful and that she's super happy that Hiori is a fan of hers, but she can't help but feel a little left out. MC listens, but as Shizuka continues eating, he can't shake the feeling that something is off. He wonders if Hiori's presence is making things more complicated than he expected. Shizuka feels a little foolish, thinking about how she's gotten all excited by herself just because Suma called her his oshi. His words keep echoing in her mind, making her feel more confused. She wonders why she's so panicked and why it's bothering her so much. Suma then brings her something, saying it's a bonus. Shizuka looks at it, curious, and Suma explains that since she seems to be feeling down, this will help her energy. He also mentions that it could affect her stream if she doesn't take care of herself. He adds that he's looking forward to his oshi's stream, which makes Shizuka feel flattered and even more conflicted. Shizuka eats the food, thinking to herself that she shouldn't be so excited over something so simple. She tries to act calm, but she can't hide her smile as Suma laughs, happy to see her eating. While eating, Shizuka starts daydreaming about Hiori and Suma. She imagines the time when Hiori cooked for herself and was praised for it. She thinks that she would like to get along with Hiori, wishing for a good opportunity to do so. Later, after the meal, Shizuka thanks Suma and leaves, telling him she'll see him tomorrow. However, as she steps outside, she unexpectedly runs into Hiori, who greets her warmly, and Shizuka, still feeling a bit flustered, asks if they're dating. Both Shizuka and Suma quickly deny it, though they both seem awkward. Shizuka then casually mentions that he made dinner for her and on how good he is at cooking. Without thinking, Shizuka invites Hiori to join them for dinner. She's excited about spending time with Hiori and talking to her more. Suma and Hiori both freeze in surprise at the sudden invitation. Suma wonders what Shizuka is doing, unsure of how to respond. Hiori, slightly hesitant, says it might be too much if one more person shows up, making the situation even more awkward for everyone involved. Shizuka excitedly tells Suma that his cooking is exquisite and she wants Hiori to try it. She agrees, commenting that it would go well with alcohol, and Shizuka enthusiastically announces they should start tomorrow. MC, caught off guard by their enthusiasm, hesitates but goes along with it. The girls, eager to make plans, suggest exchanging contact information, and Suma nervously agrees. As they start the process, Suma feels overwhelmed and wonders if the conversation is moving too quickly for him. The girls then ask if he doesn't want to eat with them, and Suma reassures them, only to be caught off guard when he receives a message asking if he wants to add Hiori to his friend list. Feeling flustered, he apologizes and nervously explains that he's just too happy. Hiori laughs and reassures him, saying he's an important neighbor to her. Suma, now a bit more at ease, agrees to create a group chat for the three of them, and they make plans to meet at his place the next night. The next evening, Suma proudly prepares a meal for the girls, explaining that he made a lot of shrimp, even though he might have overdone it. The girls praise his cooking and they eagerly dig in. Shizuka, however, gets a call from her manager, realizing she's late for a shoot. Apologizing, she quickly leaves for the studio, leaving Suma and Hiori to finish the meal together. He reflects on how surreal it is to be spending time with both his online and real-life oshis, feeling like he's living a dream. Suma, feeling a little overwhelmed, realizes he's overheard most of the conversation, though Hiori warns him to be careful. Shizuka, running in a hurry, shouts at Suma to leave her portion of the food, creating a bit of chaos. He tries to explain that there was some kind of incident, but assures her to ignore it and help herself. Hiori, unfazed, dives into the food and compliments him on how delicious it is, especially since it is freshly fried. She asks if there's alcohol, and ever the gracious host agrees to bring a glass. As he does so, he thinks about how carefree the evening feels, although he can't help but feel a bit uncertain about the situation. After they finish their drinks, the scene shifts to Suma lying on the couch with Hiori completely drunk. He's completely caught off guard by this turn of events, unsure how things escalated to this point. Despite the shock, he tells himself to accept the situation, still processing the strange circumstances.